All right, let's see. I think we're back. Okay. Let's invite Katie in. We did have plans, This was going to work. Okay. So, I'm sorry. This is Geoff Edgers from the Washington Post. We're having a few technical problems, but they will work. I know it. Okay. Katie Couric is coming. I believe it. I will see it. Let's see. Can you see me?
I can. I can see you. I can see your mouth move. You're actually a real human being. Before you were like this.
That's terrible. And it was probably frozen in a terrible spot, right?
Yeah. How are you?
That was good. You did that. I thought we froze and you got me double nervous.
Did I get you all worried?
Yeah. So I brought like 3. Don't do that. Do not do that. I don't have any experience at this, okay?
Okay, all right. Sorry. I'm not going to mess you up. I'm just thinking how shiny my forehead looks. I look terrible.
Yeah, I had makeup done right before, as you can tell.
You look good. How are you?
I'm okay. I was told by an expert at television that one thing they're finding jarring is that many people who are famous are going on air with like their sweatpants on or like not shaved, and that they're stars and they should look better. So I've been trying to dress up for these. You know what I mean?
Well, you look quite nice, and you got a nice head of hair there, mister.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So these are, I brought these in from my office. My office is wonderful, but it's now apparently technologically unstable. This is Catherine Graham.
Nice.
Yeah. I had these made by some man in Texas, and he makes them for only like $35 on a block of wood. So I was like, I'll just
let me see some of the other ones. Let me see Ben Bradley.
That's Ben Bradley.
Nice.
And I know it's backwards, but it says you never monkey with the truth. I think he said that once,
Yeah.
And then this is our current editor, Marty Barron. I don't necessarily think the hair it's more Simpsons-like than Marty's real hair. And the fact that Marty's alive makes me think he might be creeped out by me having this in my office. But
very Liev Schreiber.
Yes, exactly. A perfect performance. So first of all, thank you for being here. And the reason you're here is because last week, when I launched this with Tiffany Haddish, my daughter sent me a screen grab showing that you were watching. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, that was very exciting for me.
Tiffany Haddish, how did you score that major get?
Well, I just asked. I mean, my philosophy in reporting is you ask like 100 people who you really admire, and maybe 3 will say yes. And if those 3 are like Tiffany Haddish, David Byrne, who we'll have in 2 weeks, and Katie Couric, I'm pretty happy,
Yeah, and it's fun. It is very funny to me because now everyone is sort of a talk show host, right?
Yes. Yeah, except for the real talk show host.
Yeah, exactly. How long have you been at the Washington Post?
I've been there. I started in 2014.
And where did you come from?
I was at the Boston Globe for 11 years.
Did you
know
know Marty?
Boston area.
Did you know Marty from the Globe?
I did, but I actually knew him. If you know him at all, if you don't know him, I think he can be a little scary because he's so serious. There's so much gravitas, but I also think he's maybe a little shy.
Whatever the case is, very shy.
At the Globe, I talk to them once in a while, with stories and things. But at the Post, I still live in the Boston area because I have a national job.
Oh.
And I found that I see him more,
Yeah.
Because when I go down there, go talk with him. But yeah, he's I mean, look, we're so lucky to have it.
No, he's fantastic. And
yeah.
Of course, if you watch Spotlight, you just fell in love with him. And I've had the occasion to interview him and meet him several times. And he is very soft-spoken, but behind that kind of quiet demeanor, you can tell he's got a very good sense of humor and kind of an understanding of the absurd. So I think he seems really cool. He must be a really great person to work for.
Yes. Yeah. So we should tell people why we're here, right? Yeah.
Why are we here, Geoff?
We're here because a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I can't even remember when, when I was told I could never go out or report on anybody, it was, these are first world problems, really. But it was very depressing because our jobs are to go out in the field and meet with fascinating people. Right before this happened, I did this story on Sinead O'Connor. I went to Ireland. I was in California.
Wow.
It was just.
Thanks, Jeff Bezos.
So, we have this ability to do that sort of stuff. But here, you're suddenly at home and you're wondering, what can I do to be productive? And I'm a national arts reporter, so I can't do some of the amazing investigative work we're doing or go to hospitals or talk to, healthcare professionals. So what can I do? And I figured the only thing I could do is distract people a little bit by trying to find something interesting out there. And to me, it was having conversations with people who I would want to hear from,
Yeah, that's interesting. They won't, I would think that it would be a all hands on deck situation, and that you could do some reporting of healthcare workers or profiles of some people or acts of heroism, because that's kind of falls into your rubric of working in the style section, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have to kind of balance what our lives are like and what we can go and do. And so, I mean, in my situation, my wife works full time. I've got 2 children.
Oh.
When we sat down and thought about it, we were like,
easier for you to work from home.
Yeah, but also if you go out to Seattle or something for 3 weeks, then you're gone for 3 weeks while everybody's trying to juggle everything, and then you come back and you're in quarantine for 2 weeks. It's maybe it sounds selfish, but I just felt badly for my wife having the idea of her being on her own, trying to teach her classes without any
Oh God, that's rough. How old are your kids?
One of them is 9. He's a boy. He's in 4th grade, and my daughter's a senior in high school, which is did you see the sign I was holding up?
No.
Oh, I left it in the office. She made a nice sign for you.
Aww.
Because she's a senior. What the hell else does she have to do, right? God.
I think, I have a newsletter called Wake Up Call, and I just asked somebody who's a graduating college senior to write about sort of missing out on this really important milestone. And I'm sure for your daughter too, graduating from high school, there's so many rituals that are a part and parcel of this period of their lives that, of course, compared to other problems, it's not significant, but it's a loss nonetheless. And so I commissioned somebody to write for it in our newsletter, because I think that for me, that was a really important time in my life especially when I graduated from college. And I think it's hard for a lot of these kids. Is your daughter, the whole, someone just
forget
wrote
about
fake news.
Forget
Can
about
I give them the finger?
Forget about prom and graduation and everything. But she had to decide on going to college without visiting the school, and now we have to figure out what's going to happen in the fall. Wait, I'm going to holler to her because I want her to get that sign.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. What's her name?
Her name's Lila. Wait, you'll
okay.
hear.
Okay, I'll entertain you while Geoff is gone to get Lila. How are you all doing? Oh, you know what? I shame on you for saying fake news, whoever wrote that.
Yeah. Oh, don't read those comments. Hey,
people. Hi.
We're gonna don't worry about the comments. We don't read. I'll ask you some questions that people ask. I do have to ask you a couple things off the top, because these are. It's been interesting to me to watch this. I'm sure you're consuming all the news coverage, right?
Yeah, I watch most of it. I actually don't watch a ton of TV. I really read stuff on my phone and on my iPad. I rely on the Washington Post and the New York Times. I read USA Today. I read all sorts of interesting, I see a lot of interesting posts on Medium, the Wall Street Journal, Wired, The Hill. Politico, Axios, Huffington Post.
Dear Lord, you read everything, right?
Well, when I'm saying I read articles from all of those publications. And by the way, I think the Washington Post is doing a fantastic job. Fred Ryan is a good friend of mine. It breaks my heart that people watching this are saying fake news. They've been brainwashed, unfortunately. As I always say, presidents don't like the news media, by and large. They're, the job of the news media is to speak truth to power and hold our elected officials accountable. And I think that President Obama used to be frustrated by that. President Bush, certainly, both Bush 1 or 2. In fact, in my office, I have a bumper sticker. We grabbed that George Herbert Walker Bush sent me when I interviewed him at the White House. And President Bush was just an elegant, wonderful man. But I was talking to Barbara Bush in the White House. She was giving me a tour because I think it was a big anniversary of the White House being built. And I had to memorize like Dolly Madison's tea set. Anyway, he showed up kind of unexpectedly. And I interviewed him for about 26 minutes about Iran-Contra, about Bill Clinton. And he sent me this, I don't know if you can see it because of the light, but it says, annoy the media, re-elect Bush.
There you go. Bush. I can see it. Yep, that's cool.
With a funny letter but below it. And, you know, I think that people don't understand that the job of journalists is to question and to challenge and hold people accountable. And so it breaks my heart that what I think is the very critically important to a democracy profession of journalism is being debased and demeaned currently. And it's unfortunate because I refuse to even use those 2 words, FN, because it's become a mantra. And the one thing the president is very good at is repeating things over and over again, like it's an earworm, and it permeates your consciousness. And it's a very, very difficult, a very, very dangerous thing to disrespect the press so much. I do believe, though, that the press has become too opinionated, and it's more commentary and analysis than actual reporting. And I think that's why people are sometimes seeking affirmation instead of information when they go to their favorite news outlets, and that is problematic. But by and large, I think many journalists are doing an outstanding job, and I want to defend them. And I really don't appreciate the way they've been insulted and diminished and dehumanized almost. Anyway, that's my story.
Well, thank you for that. You know, and you know who invented the fake news term? That term? Do you remember? Norm Macdonald, the great Norm Macdonald.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. He would open up Saturday Night Live's fake news, and he would tell David Hasselhoff jokes. I mean, you know, it was a joke at the beginning. So,
yeah.
Hey, so there are 2 people in the news now. It's interesting to me in the last day, because I watched this as it happened. And I, by the way, agree with what you're saying. And I also, as an old man, I'm 49, I believe that, you know, my job is not to have an opinion. I don't tweet things that are political. I don't put stuff on Facebook that's political. My job is to do a good job as a reporter. That's just how it should work. It was interesting yesterday. I saw this whole thing that came up when Dr. Oz, right, and Dr. Phil went on Fox. Did you watch those, or have you followed what happened?
I'm happy to report I missed it, and I don't know what happened. So please.
Well, what happened is Dr. Phil, Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, it sounds like a song, but Dr. Oz went on and he made a comment which he has since apologized for. Basically, they were talking about when to get the country rolling again, and he talked about an appetizing idea, which was to get kids back in school, and the idea that there was only something like a 2 to 3% mortality rate to worry about, which he said, you know, that would be terrible, but it's just, you know, we have to also weigh the economy. And he had to apologize for that one. The second one was Dr. Phil, who went on raised the idea of how many car accidents there are in the country and how many people die in swimming pools. I think that statistic was seen as a little bit inaccurate when he brought it up. And the idea is, you know, we don't outlaw cars and we don't outlaw swimming, and, you know, we need to get things rolling. And so, I'm sorry, this is a long windup, but what's been interesting is the people that people have been attacking Oprah for this. They've been saying that Oprah is responsible for Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil being such strong voices. And I like Oprah. You like Oprah?
I do.
Yeah. So I'm not going to blame Oprah, but you also have worked with both of those guys. And I'm curious about how you view them dipping into things like politics like this, because that's not what they used to do.
Well, I think I like them both very much. Having said that, neither I would say necessarily are public health experts. That's a very specific area of expertise. And I think when you're talking about the intersection of public health and public policy and something as complex as this, I do not think they probably are appropriate to weigh in on some of those things. I just don't think they have the expertise. And I think, both, I know Dr. Oz has run into trouble before endorsing various things. And I think he's great to talk about medical issues on a micro level and how it affects patients. But I think when it comes to macro public policy, that's not something that either of those gentlemen should be dipping their toes in.
Which is, it's part of this culture, I think. And I've had to actually turn off the TV because I find it to be sometimes overwhelming. I don't have a problem with television, but when you watch for a couple hours when things are really bad, it becomes overwhelming. But there are these people who've become stars who didn't exist before. And I guess they're talking heads, but there's a thirst for those people, and there's an appetite to get them on the program. And so I'm sure that when they're looking for medical experts, many medical experts wouldn't come on and talk about something so loosely. But these guys are like kind of doctors and entertainers in a way, right?
Absolutely. And that's why they quote unquote make good television. And I also think people are looking to authority figures. They're looking to people they can trust, who have a certain amount of expertise. And that's why I think it's super important that when these television shows are booking guests, and by the way, I have sympathy for the people who are responsible for booking these people, because it's insatiable. It's this insatiable machine that has to keep being fed. But they absolutely need to find people who are truly knowledgeable and truly experts. And now is not the time for entertaining doctors. Now is the time for legitimate experts that can give people the information that they need, they can trust, and that they can then examine as using their own critical thinking tools, or skills. But, it's fascinating to me that now the country is so divided, and, you want to believe that this pandemic will bring people together, that we're going to rediscover our common humanity. On the other hand, you see this chasm forming between people who understandably are suffering economically. They've lost their jobs. They've lost multiple jobs. They're worried about feeding their kids. And then public health officials. And in a way, it's kind of divided up right now between people who are more Trump supporters and people who are less Trump supporters. So it's just a very interesting, I think, dynamic that is, I think, almost underscoring the pre-existing divisions that exist in this country.
Can I show you a picture?
I don't know why why I'm talking and pontificating so much. I think I need to talk, Geoff.
Can I show you we all need to talk. Can I show you a picture of our family quarantining at home?
Yeah.
Right there. Can you see that? Yeah.
That's what?
Oh, sorry. No, that's Bruce Willis.
Wait, that took me a minute. I was like, wait, what happened to your hair? Wait,
I know,
that's
right?
Bruce Willis.
I don't really understand this and all these pajamas and everything. It's a little creepy, right?
I don't understand it either, but it's very cute. Whatever you find that's entertaining you, Geoff, or giving you joy, I say go for it.
I found this. I'm sorry. I'm not a crazy stalker reporter. I'm blocking you. But if you are
blocking you. Your head is on my body.
This is me talking with President Bush.
You need to slide that over, mister.
Yeah. I don't really even know how to.
You need to work on your pre-production.
Yeah. I'm not. Oh, there's one of my coworkers. I've got, all sorts of good pictures. All right. So let me ask you a question. You've been broadcasting and you've been reaching out a lot. I am curious though, because I remember 9/11 watching television, and I remember you being on the air during that moment, which was, everybody talks about where we were when we saw that. but you were on the air with Matt Lauer in the morning and
Yeah.
trying to figure it out in real time. And one, I'm curious about whether you think about the moment now and whether you would want to be there talking to us every night on what happened there? You dropped something? No?
Yeah, sorry, I dropped my sentimental box, which I brought.
I was building up. The question was building. It was going to be an excellent question, and now, all right. So, but we'll get back to the
you're asking me about 9/11. I'm with
well,
you,
being
Geoff.
on. Do you when I watch when I see you come on, or I see Dan Rather, for example. I don't know. There's something comforting about Dan Rather. I think, boy, I'd like to see them every day on the news or on the morning. You know, do you think about what it would be like now trying to deal with what we're dealing with now if you were in those positions, if you're sitting on the anchor desk, for example?
Oh no, I would love it because, I mean, this is what I think I'm good at. I also think I have a really strong medical background now. Not that I'm a doctor, but I've done so much work with cancer advocacy, and I know so many scientists, so many epidemiologists, so many virologists. You know, I know all about, you know, immunotherapy and all kinds of cancer treatments. So I have actually a pretty good understanding of medical terms. And, you know, I found out from a friend of mine who's a cardiologist that these micro clotting, they're having a lot of micro clots in lungs and in pulmonary embolism type things that are being treated with blood thinners. So I think I have a pretty good understanding of medicine and public policy. And so I really thrive in moments like this. And I'm doing that kind of work. I'm just doing it on a different platform. I'm doing it through my social media channels. I just interviewed a chaplain from Mount Sinai who's ministering to dying people, who used to work with, and still does, but temporarily not, with cancer patients at Mount Sinai, and how she's transferring those skills of ministering and offering people comfort and helping them have a good goodbye under extraordinarily difficult circumstances when they're dying alone. And it's so distressing. So I'm putting together a piece. And honestly, I had this conversation with her and I was almost crying because it was so comforting and meaningful to hear a spiritual voice talk about how she helps families and patients in these dire times. So I guess that's a long way of saying I'm interviewing all these people on the front lines, from doctors and nurses, respiratory therapists, chaplains. I interviewed a funeral home director yesterday, and I'm working with Time Magazine, and we're producing these really narratives about all these frontline workers. And then I'm doing my newsletter. I'm doing Instagram lives like you are, trying to have some fun with people, from Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard to who did I
you went on with Richard Marx, right?
Huh?
You went on with Richard Marx, I think.
Yeah, I did something with Richard Marx because he went to high school with my husband in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And I did something with Kamal Nanjiani and his wife Emily B. Gordon, and I'm talking to Rachel Brosnahan this afternoon. At 5 o'clock, in fact. So I'm doing a lot of things, and I'm writing a book. So I guess
we're gonna get to your memory box, but can I find a few questions and see if there are any good ones?
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes you open the questions and they just say something like Steve Harvey. It's not even a question, right? Let's see. Okay.
What are your views on South America?
Here you go. How about what is your favorite Netflix show right now?
Oh, that's a good one. I just finished Unorthodox, which was really, really good. Someone said they were feeling unproductive. I understand you're feeling unproductive. I'm feeling unproductive too, but I feel like I like to feel productive. So if you can figure out a project or something to do, you should do that. Anyway, I finished Unorthodox. I did watch Tiger King. Hey, you cool cats and kittens, which was super weird. I'm watching Little Fires Everywhere on Hulu, and that's it for now.
Someone else asked why the Washington Post gave me the Instagram account, And I don't know how to answer that
That's
question.
an excellent question. I was wondering that very same thing.
It may have been
I'm
an
kidding.
error. I may not actually be authorized to do this, but you know what? I think because we want a little piece, and that's what I want to ask you. Are there things you found during this time that you need to do in your day to feel better or to cope? Because there's a psychic toll that this takes on us, not being able to operate the way we normally would socially with people. Is there something you've been doing?
Well, I've been checking in with my friends, especially my friends who are single and live alone, because that's very difficult. I've also been trying to exercise regularly. I'm going to try to take a yoga class tonight online. We've been having fun because there's 6 of us here. My daughter, my assistant Adriana, who lives in Palm Springs, and we adopted her. My other daughter, Ellie, is in LA. My husband's son, Henry, and his girlfriend, Candace, and my husband and I. So we all take turns cooking dinner at night, and it's been really fun. And we've made some really delicious meals. I'm getting so fat, but whatever. And so that's kind of a nice ritual to continue to have a nice dinner together every night. And as I said, I'm trying to exercise. I'm trying to do some deep breathing. Someone said, I thought you were single. No, I remarried in 2014. I finally found
You
someone.
really, you're so much better than I'm trying to give you total respect and focus. But you're excellent at reading the comments as they go through, right?
Well, you know, I had to learn to multitask when I was on television for so many years, because you have somebody talking to you in your ear. You have someone giving you time cues and counting you down like this. And so you have to kind of be able to fracture your brain and focus on different things at once. That's probably why.
What's for dinner tonight? Do you know? Because someone asked that.
Well, my daughter and Adriana, it was their turn, and I told them, because it's Candace's birthday tonight. My husband John went back to the city for the weekend because I was probably driving him crazy, and I think he just needed a change of scenery. So he went back to the city, and I'm gonna carry out somewhere. I've got to figure that out when we're done. But I thought that would be nice to have a nice dinner, because we have a chore chart. Some people have daytime cleaning duty. Some people have garbage. Some people have after dinner cleanup, and some people have dinner.
When you order out, because I'm a terrified person of germs now, do you wash everything? Do you, what do you do? Like, is there something crazy you've washed recently? I mean, I've been washing bags of tortilla chips. I washed the bananas with soap. I mean, yeah. Oh, bless you. Boy.
Well, let's see. I mean, I think we're trying to be careful. We're leaving groceries out for a day or two before we unpack them, if they don't have to go right in the refrigerator. And I think we're wiping things down. I haven't been as vigilant about cleaning the groceries as I probably should, but
I left a loaf of bread out, and and a squirrel broke into it and ate
maybe a raccoon.
Well, no, it was during the day.
Oh.
And it was about 30% of the bread was eaten, but there was a good 70% that was totally untouched. But I was advised to throw that out.
I'm glad you did, Geoff. I was going to say squirrels are like rats with tails, bigger tails, in my opinion.
Hey, you are working on a memoir, am I right?
I am.
How far are you along in that process?
About halfway.
Yeah. And so, do you have a due date? Do you have an idea of when that?
I have to be done probably the end of June.
Okay. All right. That's soon.
It is. I know. And I'm not getting it done because I'm spending my time talking to nice people like you, Geoff.
Let me ask you a very private question. Do you write the book yourself, or do you have people helping you, a team of writers like John Grisham or something like that?
John Grisham has a team of writers?
No, I mean, if I were to hire a team of writers, I would hire him. Margaret Atwood, I would probably hire her.
Yeah.
I'd hire
You'd have to have deep pockets to hire either of those people. Yeah. I'm pretty much writing it myself. I have some help from an editor of a magazine in New York who I really like. And then I hired Adriana, my assistant, because Adriana wrote her thesis about me at Notre Dame, and she
Hmm.
interviewed me for her thesis. What was the name of your thesis?
Katie Couric's career in shifting perceptions of femininity in broadcast journalism.
Katie Couric's career and shifting perceptions of femininity in broadcast journalism. So
Huh.
Adriana, she went to Notre Dame. She came and interviewed me in New York, and she was, graduating shortly thereafter. So when I signed this contract to do my book, I said, "Hey, I want to hire that great girl from Notre Dame. She knows more about me than I know about me." So Adriana has been indispensable, and my friend Lucy Kalen has been helping me. So it takes a village, but it really is coming from me. My dad was a journalist, Geoff, and he wrote for the Atlanta Constitution and United Press, and he's passed away. But he said, if you ever write a book, I really want you to write it. I don't want to be a ghostwriter or as told to. So I've really poured my heart and soul into this book. And, I'm going to have to get down to serious brass tacks in the next couple of months. So that's going to keep me very busy.
Well, if there are any chapters you need to sneak us so that we can review them, I'm available at all times. Would you say, and I hate to ask someone who happens to be a professional and a woman this question, but I also like to ask it because I think about how much the world has changed. And I also think about what you must have gone through. And I wonder if how you're going to handle that in your book and deal with just, you must have seen or experienced some pretty horrific things and really been treated at times, if not harassed or I don't know anything else, but just treated poorly in ways that we can't imagine now.
I think the world has changed dramatically. And what I think is interesting is I'm writing this against largely a backdrop between 1979 and 2020. So 40 years in the life of American women writ large, and sort of my personal story as it unfolded in these very much changing times. And I think about what the world was like for people professionally, for women in particular, in 1979 when I graduated from college, and how much has changed, even really in the last couple of years, in terms of a deeper understanding of not only sexual harassment, but misogyny and toxic workplace cultures in general. So a lot of it is going to be about that. I'm writing a lot about Hillary Clinton because I've covered her for many years. Of course, writing about my experiences as being the first solo female anchor on an evening newscast, which was very difficult, much more difficult than I ever imagined. I thought we were really in a post-sexist society, and I learned very quickly that could not have been further from the truth. So I'm very interested in examining kind of not only my life, but taking a step back and looking at the big picture for women in general. And so it's been really interesting and really, really fun. I just finished a couple of chapters on my Sarah Palin interview. I'm reliving some moments that were really hard, the death of my husband, some very, very difficult professional moments as well, but personal ones, obviously. And, it's almost like vomiting your life out on the page. And it's also like a very long therapy session, right? Where and I go to bed thinking about things, and I have really weird dreams about my childhood. So it's been a very interesting exercise and an interesting experience. And I hope people read it. I hope somebody's interested in it. Sometimes I'm writing this stuff, Geoff, and I'm like, is anybody going to really care? But then I think, well, maybe it's a kind of a love letter to my daughters too.
I think, when you talk about the period of time that we're covering and what you lived through, I think it would be fascinating. I can't imagine. I don't know the details, but if you're writing with the eye that you have as a journalist, how could we not want, I just saw before this all happened, we saw a play at the American Repertory Theater on Gloria Steinem.
Oh, and, I saw that.
Yeah, it was, just to think of how she was treated when she was starting out with these journalists were good people. I'm sure they thought they were doing the right thing, but the way they treated women who were covering the same things is startling to me. I mean, startling and believable at the same time. And,
Yeah,
I think
in
about
fact,
that now.
we were just reading a really snarky, nasty Columbia Journalism review from 2006 of an interview I did with Condi Rice. And the guy was such an asshole and so condescending and patronizing in his writing and just oozing with sexism. So I DM'd him on Twitter and I said, hi, what are you doing now? I just was rereading your review of my Condi Rice profile on 60 Minutes, and I just want to make sure I have your proper title now. And he said, oh God, we had to write all this stuff, and it was obviously he was embarrassed. And I said, you should read it. I'd be really interested in hearing your perspective on how you wrote that piece now. And it's kind of fun, I'm such a bitch.
Well, I'll tell you that I love when the phone rings answering it. I like when I get nasty emails responding to them. I will sometimes go into the comments on our stories and just talk with people, because I think people sometimes don't realize there's an actual human being.
Oh, of course.
Involved.
Hello, welcome to my world, Geoff. I mean, can you imagine? No, they completely objectify you. And I actually am now used to it. It took me a long time to get used to criticism, and I think it's still hurtful when someone says something really mean about you. Also, if you feel like you're completely misunderstood, or if you feel you are not given the credit you deserve, if people think automatically because you're fun and have a personality or sense of humor that somehow you're vacuous and shallow and not particularly intelligent, I think people have a very difficult time understanding the multidimensionality of individuals and the fact that they can be many things at once and not necessarily put into a box. So, yeah, what was I talking about?
I don't know. Should we look at a couple, speaking of terrible questions, should we look and see if there are a couple questions here?
Sure.
Because I can click on this thing. You have a memory box that we're going to look at, right? You call it a memory box?
I call it my sentimental box. Okay, it's just very funny. I thought this was funny.
Wait, this could make headlines. Someone is asking your opinion on Trump. I can't believe this one came in. How would you handle that if someone asked you? People ask you that all the time, right?
I think there are plenty of people giving opinions on Trump. It's probably what you think it is. Okay, so this is
one last thing. This is a very important one. Do you like rice, especially with fried flounder or catfish fillets? That's an important question coming in from C.T. Davis.
Well, C.T. Davis, I have to be honest with you. I am a big fan of rice. My father grew up in Dublin, Georgia, went to Mercer in Macon, Georgia. So we were a big rice family growing up. And P.S., CT, I also like fried flounder and fried catfish. I think that sounds like a pretty bland meal in general. I think I'd need some little lemon butter with capers or something going on there. But yes, I do like rice, flounder, and catfish. Okay, Geoff,
I just want to tell you one last fish story. When this started up,
do you want to remind people who are just tuning in who you are and who I am?
Yeah, it's that thing I always forget to do. Okay, so this is the Washington Post. We're at the Washington Post now, as you can tell. I have been allowed to take over it. I'm Geoff Edgers, the national arts reporter, and I'm going to be with you every Friday. Next Friday, we have a musician, Nick Lowe. You know Nick Lowe?
Yeah.
He did "Cruel to Be Kind."
Oh yeah. You got to be cruel. How's that go?
You got to be cruel to be kind.
To be kind.
Yeah, I don't really sing. But
okay, we're gonna play it. We're gonna play it off. But first, because I have to go soon, Geoff.
Your memory box. You have a memory box.
It's a sentimental box. It's not a memory box.
Sorry.
Okay, so this is my sentimental box. It's a Garfinkel's box. I started it in June of 1967 when I was 10 years old. The funniest thing, I wrote on the back of the box, Katie Couric, for all my children. Oh, it says age 10, year started 1967, date June 7th, grade summer after 4th. And my favorite part is I say, This is what the alphabet looked like when I was a little girl.
Look at that.
What the hell? What is wrong with me? Did I think like the alphabet was going to change?
It could, you know, that's very, I mean, you never know when someone's going to overhaul the alphabet.
Anyway,
we
so
only
I'm
need
going to show you
23
just
letters.
a few items, Geoff. Here's my magnetic tic-tac-toe board that very exciting. Then this is a magazine I did called Now. When I was a little kid, and I used to make my own newspapers and magazines, and I even did like an ad for Zit Cream.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Zit Cream. Look at that. That's a terrible skin
And I'd like
condition.
to read you. Oh, I did a joke time. This is my joke time. I wrote jokes.
Can you give us that? Can you read us a joke?
I did a little cartoon. I think I copied that. Anyway, and then I did a poem. I did a movie review. I did a poem. Wait a second. Hold on.
Do you have a joke? Katie, do you have a joke you could read us?
Oh, sure. They're not dirty because I was only 10.
Sure. Yeah.
But I kind of want to read you my poem because
I'll read your poem. This is your
pretty
book.
awesome. But hold on. I'll read you my joke.
Okay.
Okay. Question. What do you call a bird that gets caught in a lawnmower?
Go. What?
Shredded tweet.
Oh. Did
What
you write
happened to
that?
the
You think
pe-
you wrote
Wait,
that?
What happened to the peanut walking down the street?
What?
He got assaulted.
Oh.
What do you call a worm?
What do you call?
An upholstered caterpillar. I don't get that. Okay. What's black and white and red all over a skunk with diaper rash? Shake, shake the ketchup bottle. First none will come out and then a lot'll. Wow. I was really a laugh riot, Geoff, wasn't I? But before we go, you know, April is National Poetry Month.
Yes. I mean, no, I didn't know that, but I'm willing to
So in
accept
honor of that, I'd like to read my poem. And I even did a illustration. My poem is called Yesterday. And first, I'm going to show you the illustration.
Hmm?
It's a rope swing.
It's like it's very sentimental, huh?
Yesterday by Katie Couric. You know, it's good to think you are funny because then you entertain yourself for hours. Okay.
I want you to have Morgan Freeman read this poem. If
Okay,
that's okay. Is he
should.
there?
I should. I'm going to call him.
Yeah. Okay.
If you want Morgan, call me. I can hook you up.
All right. Good. Next week.
Okay. Swaying softly, rocking gently beneath the tall, majestic oak with haunting branches, ancient and frail. Splintered seat, sleepy now, forgets caressing sunlit clouds. Weathered hemp, still knotted high, forgets the morn it touched the sky. Murmurs of life pierce through the calm, laughing eyes and tear-stained faces. Yet it sways so softly, rocks so gently. Could it be it still remembers?
I think that someone asked if you could put that on the inside of your book cover.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, this started a little shakily because of my technology problems, but I think we brought it home. You know what I mean?
I think so too. Honestly, I think we brought it. I think we brought it big time. And I don't know, before you go, can I just see if there's any? Oh, this is coupon to sanitary pads.
Oh.
Wait a second. Hold on. Oh,
I don't even know what that's all about.
Wait. You know, I'm from the Washington area. This is my Yorktown High School cheerleading letter. Woo!
You were a cheerleader, right?
I know. What a shock, right?
Well, I don't know. Is that a shock or is that not a shock? Because cheerleaders sometimes are not given the kind of respect they deserve, right?
My point exactly, Geoff. You know, there are a lot of brilliant cheerleaders out there. Cheerleaders need to be given respect.
Yeah. But I think that is,
Woo!
Is that an actual cheer? That should be our mission.
That was 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits $1. All for Yorktown, stand up and holler.
That's perfect. Hey, so next week we will have Nick Lowe here, and after that,
Oh, wait, Nick Lowe. We're gonna play Nick Lowe's song for everybody. Wait,
and
go
I-
ahead, because we're gonna
David-
play off with Nick Lowe. Sorry, what?
David Byrne is after that. But I just want to say thank you so much for being here. It
was
really
really fun talking to you.
means a lot. Yeah, I hope we'll talk again. Will we talk again ever?
Oh, wait, Geoff. My husband will kill me. Can we tell everybody watching to sign up for my morning newsletter, which is really fun and good and very important. And if you don't want to pay attention to the news 24/7, it gives you all the important stories.
No, I prohibit that. No, yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. Tell everyone how to do that.
I don't have Jeff Bezos backing me, honey.
Yeah, I don't know if I will anymore after this, But yes, go for it.
Go to katiecouric.com and sign up for Wake Up Call, you guys. And it's not only has great original content, it has all the highlights that you need to know for the day. And I mean, how can you resist having me in your inbox every morning? That sounds dirty.
Technologically, I think it's a little dirty, but it's kind of like computer geek, porn. Really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think, well, listen, good luck with this. You should call your show something, Geoff.
Well, what should I call it? Technical problems?
I don't know. I'll think of it. FaceTiming with Geoff. I don't know.
Well, it would be amazing to have a veteran, professional, esteemed member of our profession come up with that. So if you can come up with that, I'll be here and I'll give you full credit.
How about something like Post-it?
That probably already exists. I feel like that exists already.
Maybe. I'll give it a think.
My last name is Edgers, so what always happens with everything I do is they try to put edge into it, like edge of Instagram or edge of fame or some,
Edgers edge.
I don't
That's
really like
Pete
it.
Buttigieg. Oh, Pete's going to do an Instagram live with me. So sorry, Geoff.
But I think he's kind of old news. You need to get that Biden guy. Joe Biden.
Well, sure, of course, I'd like to get Joe Biden too, but Pete is so smart and so eloquent, and I think so knowledgeable about public policy. I'm really excited to talk to him. I talked with his husband, Chasten, last week. I told you, to Rachel Brosnahan later today. So we can have a little competition here. Do you have the music hold on, for your listeners, all two of them who are still with us?
There are many.
Here.
It's a good song.
Hold on. We got to wait till the lyrics.
Okay.
We got to wait for the chorus.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping we'll get there before 3.
It's finished. Wait. Okay. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Okay. Stay safe, and we'll see you. Come next week and watch. Okay, so we can.
I will. Right? I'll join. What time?
2:00 on Eastern Time on Fridays.
And I would just like to thank all our viewers for wasting their time with us.
It was not a waste. I mean, your side was not a waste. Mine, the upper half, maybe.
No, you did a good job.
Thank you.
You.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye, Geoff. Bye.